Aloha everyone and welcome to the 13th episode of the 8th series of the Temple of Surf, the podcast. Today with us is the legendary Max McDonald. We discuss with him about shaping surfboards, surfers, and much more. Good morning, Mr. McDonald. Welcome to the podcast. Where are you today?
I am at my house in Carpinteria, California, about 4 miles up from Point Rincon.
Ah, wow, okay.
I know, it's a blessing and a half.
Of course it is, like a lot of good waves over there. So it's still season before.
Even though the gooses, but I still like to go backside.
Okay.
Rincon.
And so today we're going to talk about many things. But the first question that I have for you is, in your opinion, what is the most important thing in surfing?
It's different from everybody. Like golf, people like to play golf, but then some people want to be a pro golfer. So that's a whole nother world, that you travel on. And it's kind of like, now I'm 67, it kind of just keeps you going, because you just do what you do. It's what you love to do. And so it's just the outlook of you, the way you see surfing, does that make sense?
Yeah, of course. And I guess more we're getting older, more we appreciate every single wave, isn't it?
Yes. And things aren't as easy as they used to be.
I
Talk to my legs.
Yeah, I guess different.
I'm still standing though, so I can't complain.
And so, going back to the years, what was your first surfboard?
My very first surfboard was a Hansen Master. It was 1965, and I was pretty young. I was about 9, and it was hard to find a board for small people, like small kids. But they went. We grew up in San Clemente. That was another blessing. I got to move into San Clemente when I was 9, and so it was like it still is kind of sleepy town, but not like it was. And it was just a blessing. And so Kobe didn't have any, which is right close to San Clemente at Dana Point.
Yeah.
And so like the other major shop was down in Hansen Surfboards in Encinitas. And then by chance they had, it was called the Hansen Master. It was way foiled down, a lot, just made smaller, and that was my very first surfboard. And it was the oldest. This is, you probably know about everything about surfing. The old fins had a screw through the deck into the base of the fin. And that's how old that one was. And then after that, because San Clemente, like all, like San Diego and LA, that live by the beach, everybody pretty much, at least 10 out of 20 kids shaped boards on the side of the house. It's just kind of the thing we all did, pull the old glass off. The old ones were worth a lot of money, but not at the time. And talk about an itch. But so we reshaped those down, because what happened was the Australians went on a shortboard revolution really hard. Well, because we all were going smaller. This had been probably about 66 starting, maybe. I'm not exactly sure exact dates, but around that zone. And we're all going shorter. Boy, they ripped really short. I mean, actually, they went where we are now, 5'6", 5'8", 5'10". This is mid 70s, late 60s. And that's why Rolf Arness won the world contest at Bell's, because it was pretty good size. And the shorter boards didn't have enough carry. And he's riding like a 7.0. I can't remember exactly, but he was able to travel on the face a lot more. So he was able to get more points as opposed to riding a kneeboard, kind of trying to keep it in the water. I mean, they did good. Nothing bad at all to say. It's just, everybody went, it was an experimental time. And from then on, the next board I got was a guy named Leslie Potts. He's over on Maui. but he rode for the Greek, the old surfboard company, the Greek surfboards. And this would have been 67-ish. And I got one of his used boards because he's a team rider.
Okay.
And then I rode it for a while, but everybody's going short or crazy. So I cut mine down to about I don't know, maybe 6'2" or something. That's actually the proper size for me, And that was my first board I shaped, and didn't know anything. I knew a little bit, but not really. I was 11 or 12, cutting and folding. But I didn't know anything. Usually V is, right down the center, right? I had a long board, but I cut it like this. So basically, it just blended into the regular tail for about this much. And from there on, it started going towards the nose like a V. So my V was half going sideways. So I learned, it was, San Clemente was a magical time. A lot of the whole California coast was during the magic, innovation and what if. And it was just a good time. And that's, like you had Hobie, and then up in Hermosa, there was Bing. And like I said, San Diego, GNS, and Hanson. So there's these centers, and then offshoots of all the kids that, live near the beach there. And it just naturally grew. And like the junior high school that I went to, this would have been 1968, 69, 7th and 8th grade, because it was located between San Clemente and Dana Point. At my junior high school, this is like, in 7th grade, we went to earlier school, but we went to Marco Forster. It was a combination of the two cities. And so Hobie Jr. went, we're all in the same 2 years. Hobie Jr. and the other shapers was, Mickey Munoz, of course, Miguel. Yeah. And then there was another Schaefer, I think, for Hobie, and his son went there. And so it was like, when I was shaping on the side of my house, Mickey knew me because they would be like the chaperones that would go on the surf trips, like the different surf spots for the weekend for a surf club. And so it was, and Hobie altered, we'd all be there. And it was just a really nice time. And, it's just, everything was, especially when you're a kid, but on top of all the changes and every, one weekend, one friend of ours would make one in the housing tract, In fact, the housing tract that I came from was in San Clemente. Have you ever been to San Clemente down on the West Coast at all?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. We're right. Okay, you leave Doheny, you go down the Coast Highway, and then there's no lights or nothing. There's Beach Road. That's where Phil Edwards, that was the original too. Yeah. Phil Edwards and all the guys down there, and Flippy Hoffman, they were like the originals, and Mickey was there too, of course. And it was just a hotbed of activity of just the best people, that surfed. And then Corky Carroll, and just keep naming them, Brad McCall. And it was just a good time. And trying to think what they're going to say, but it was just an exciting time. Things were happening really quick. And no one really knew what was going on.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it was a lot of trial and error, and some of the things worked and some didn't. And but that's why it's such a surf town, like every surf town. But I mean, San Clemente is the surf town, and Huntington too. Yeah. But I lived there all my life except till about 85. And when you grow up somewhere where it was just like, if you didn't have it by 7 o'clock that night, there was no milk. Well, all the stores were closed. We're talking small town. And then there's the day, and it kind of just morphed into something that was. I mean, I love surfing. I'm a shaper. I've been doing it since I was 10. Both of them just get 57 years to shape it, and I know where'd the time go. I'm still glad I'm here. There's a lot of friends that I lost along the way, and just, wow, man, that was a bummer. They weren't old at all, So each day is a gift,
Yeah, definitely. But while you're talking, I'm thinking about all the names that you said, and of course, growing up, nearby, Hansen, I don't know, Obi, Mike Tyson, Mickey Munoz, all these like, I mean, I guess it was like an era where you were experimenting a lot. But
Oh, really?
it was like an era where everybody was trying and live a different way of surfing, right? So
Yes. It's a different certain and on different equipment. Yes.
exactly. And so when you're saying, my shortboard was 7.0 and then was a 6.2, and today we are talking about 5 point, I don't know, 3. It's like looks like still a good. Yeah, I mean, it was not like those boards of the beginning of the '60s in Hawaii, but nevertheless, they were like the first shortboards in America. So that was a very
Yes.
important moment. So today, basically, until today, how many boards you shaped? Have you ever counted or no? Or until
Uh,
count?
Well, I did for a while, and I've got a book. I got a book from 1980, from when I first started professionally shaping,
Okay.
and then which is here's the rest of the story with Mickey. So Mickey knew me when we were in seventh grade, and he was our chaperone, and he was Mickey, and we knew who he was, But years later, I started working for Infinity Surfboards, and I got taught by Steve Bainey, and he's one of the most unknown heroes. I'll tell you about shapers. So then was a professional for years. So then, I mean, now Mickey knew me when I was, and now we're at the trade shows, and I got gray hair, and you know, I'm not as fit as he is. And he poke at this thing, hey, well, and it wasn't big. It wasn't like washboard, and I was 52, and but yeah, nothing's changed. It's just like, yeah, it's amazing, yeah, and it's another person. Oh, by the way, he's a good guy. You got that from Malcolm. It's like a stamp of approval. I've known him for 40 years.
I hope.
Yeah, it's almost like you're in the club. I mean, like you're in the club. He's a nice guy. That's just 3 words.
Thank you.
So that's why that's why I just said, all right, I'll do it.
It means a lot.
So
It means a
he's
lot.
he's a wise man too. He taught me more about life than a lot of people.
Tell me, how did you meet Malcolm Campbell? How did you meet?
Yeah, that's another quinky dink. I'd left Infinity and I was doing my own boards, the Max label, and I had some good success with Chris Frohoff and Benavides and shaped Martin Potter's boards and Sean Thompson. Me and Sean, we go way back, and when we're from when he came over here from South Africa. But I was working for myself, but it was kind of a sometimes during the '80s, we'd have high and lows, of economic deal, and it was maybe I had a little extra time, so Malcolm Campbell was fine-standing or he was actually shaped, before the machine. Malcolm was working for Al doing boards. So Malcolm was having a baby. So Al gave him a month off for maternity leave for Oriana, who's graduated from Columbia. I'm feeling old now. And so I filled in for him for a month. And then that Tommy won the world champion. And then, they needed as many shapers as they could find. And now I was raised on mowing foam. That's what they called it back in the day, mowing foam. Because in Infinity at the time, we were like, top three. We had East Coast, all East Coast, Texas, West Coast. And for that side, I mean, that time it was pretty early, not, there's Hobie before us, but that was like one of the newer, older now boards. And so I got a call and, hey, do you want to come up and fill in for Malcolm for a month? I said, sure. Why not? So yeah, working for Al. I'd never met him, but it was a small club. I mean, you didn't know him, but you knew him. Like everybody, especially the shapers, they're like, actually, well, I don't want to get sidetracked. I go up for a month, and And then Tommy wins. And then, he goes, oh, I like your work. I like your town. Santa Barbara was like San Clemente before it went surfy, out of hand surfy. And so it was a match made in heaven because I was looking back at my own hometown and way to go, Ohio, as the contender would sing. It's just what you do to it. And so I've been living here since 1985. I went back down for a couple of years here and there, but I've always been up here since '85, and it's nice, and expensive, but hey,
I
can't
guess
take it with you.
you were covering for Malcolm for like a month, and then you guys met finally, right?
Yeah, after he got back, and we knew of each other because the Campbell brothers were doing the Bonzer with the Big, and then I was doing the elevated wing with the Infinity. We were in the Caton contest, where each team from all of the major had a team. So I'd seen him on the beach, seen him surf, and I guess vice versa. I don't know. And but when we met, it's like, hey, I finally meet you, right? And I love you and seen what you do. So anyway, this is another good.
A beginning of a friendship, right? Not only a beginning of working experience, but also friendship, right?
Oh, one of my dearest friends, and we really pissed off our ancestors because the Campbells and the McDonalds were a feud like the Hatfield McCoys in America.
Okay.
So they'd been feuding for decades.
Okay.
And so anyway, because I guess McDonald's were hotheads or something, and it's hard to get me mad, but don't get me mad. It takes years. But they came in the middle of the night, the Campbells, and smashed our heads with rocks. They sure that we didn't wake up. All of them each had a rock, and they went wham. So anyway, he's over there, shaping in England and Ireland, and his wife's driving, and it's country, and Malcolm's reading or something. She goes, "Hey, Malcolm," because there was a big billboard sign. "This way to the McDonald massacre." It was like an advertisement where it happened. So anyway, he looks up, and it's like right there. And he looks back down. It's, oh, that was my ancestors went off the railing. So anyway, we're the bestest of friends. So we're making them, sorry.
Nice.
Can't buy that sort of stuff. But
we're able to pacify the two families after centuries.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing was, it kind of was like the same with the shaping thing. We weren't, because we were both already been established. He'd been with Bing and I did blah, blah, blah. And so there was no, plus just our friendship. It was just like, he's my friend, but he surfs, he shapes too. That's kind of, we really looked at each other. And so that's how the shape of the EB5 came along. I was doing the elevated wing, and then he was doing the Bonzer. We're shaping right next to each other every day, 6 days a week. So then, we're sitting there looking at each other's stuff. And one day we're sitting there talking, and we go, well, why don't I put the two together? Kind of semi-serious and kind of, he was an experimenter from way back, and I was an experimenter, and that never comes out of you, I guess, And so, well, he did the bottom, we did, and a lot of our boards had a very similar rail line. We have the same wide point configuration. And it was like the first time we ever surfed together, we put our boards down. It was all theory, it's like full thread theory. And so we did the thing, we put the wings on, and let's give it a go. It turned out to be chocolate and peanut butter. Literally. 39, 40 years now. That's right, 40 years. It just, it just keeps on going. And we just don't get to see each other that much anymore. It's like, you're probably like you got all these old friends, and the river of time is rushing by, and and
yeah,
I wish I
it's like if you guys saw each other like 5 minutes ago, right? Is that kind of friendship that even if you're far away, it looks like you left each other 5 minutes ago, right? It's always
Exactly like it was. And yes. In fact, I hadn't talked to him in about a year, about 8 months or something. And they're telling me about you.
okay.
And then, that conversation went into about another hour. We talked about you and what your trip was and how cool it was. And anyway, yeah, it's a blessing,
What was the best wave of your life?
Uh, had a lot of good ones.
I'm sure.
It's like a beauty pageant, I don't know.
Oh, I know. But the one that
I think
maybe was not the best, but you remember because it was
well, yeah, the one that always stands out in my mind. It was 1977. We were the second crew to go to Port Escondido. In '76, Dan Flecky and Russ Short went down there before us, and they were, and we went down. It was Brian Hovmanian, Hovey, from Newport, and Richard Casperson from Russell Surfboards, and he looked like Kirk Douglas and acted just like him. Like he got, the Russell Surfboards have this pin tails, the '70s.
okay.
Port Escondido went through this thing, and then he just went up, and then there was only a dentist, but he doubled as a doctor. This is, Port Escondido. We flew in. They didn't have room. The boards wouldn't fit in the compartment, so they put them in the aisle. So it's like, we were crashing. We were locked in. But so he goes up there to the dentist to get his thing patched.
Okay.
And then the guy comes out. This is early, and he's a tough guy. He's a California New Yorker. It's just he rode big waves good. But anyway, he comes back and his eyes are just like. I go, what was up? How was it up there? Oh, it's good. The dentist came out and started working on me, and he's wearing a dress. And I just went, no, and he's just going. Yeah, we all laughed so hard on the beach. It made his eyes go down. So that was another thing in the story. But back to the best wave. Back then, they had 7 rivers running out at Port Escondido. Now I guess there's 3, and then they built that valley. It's completely full of high rises like the arena, so it blocked the wind. So the offshores are not as strong, and with the 7 rivers, the best way to describe it, because it's really deep. Like when you fly over, you look down, it looks like Shorebreak, and it's 10 feet. And so you go, oh boy, it's going to be flat. But it just goes down deep. And so could you imagine 1 billion marbles, like sand, and you just poured it all out. So it's going right off a cliff, which is right there. And then it goes into a pinnacle thing. So anyway, it comes a super pipeline. The only place a beach break I've ever seen where, you paddle out and you get your hair wet. That kind of thing. Bish, bish, bish. We never surfed there before. They thought our boards were airplane wings. And I was waxing up and I was just going, I'd seen it before, but at a beach break, and it was about 10 foot, from the beginning to this big.
Wow.
Every time. So, and I hate to say it, but in a way, it was pretty easy to ride because it would come in and you don't have to take off. What you had to do is get to your feet, just hang on. And then, sometimes they would get not perfect, but then when it finally ran up on the super shallow stuff, it's round like this, and then it hits the inside and does this thing. So it kind of gives you even more of an exit period, So that's the best way. It was like that for 2.5 weeks.
So you got plenty of that.
Huh?
So you got plenty of that, right? You were able to surf.
Oh. I know you've probably gone there. You surf somewhere perfect, and after 3 weeks of perfect surf, you almost don't get burned out on it. Just go, all right, yeah, I've been 1,000 barrels in the last 2 weeks.
Not bad.
Hungry for combo, It's weird. It's like anything, I saw you know, do you remember that gigantic swell? It was probably 85, 86 El Nino, and it was big on the West Coast for 2 weeks straight, and it was glassy the whole time in September. Anyway, it's just San Clemente, right? I'm going to T Street. The Todd's Third Reef. It's been doing that. Been already surfed that spot. Surfed every one that was big, and I pull up T Street. I'm coming down. It looks like Uluwatu.
Yeah, okay.
From one side all the way across, and it's as far out as the pier, and not one person out. I was just like, then I was like going. I turned around, went to work myself. I was like, yeah, I surfed that. Yeah, I'm kind of it. But I just thought, well, I'm just see how T Street's doing it. I'd never seen it since, and I'd never thought of it. You'll never see it uncrowded again. But yeah, that was the thing. You got me going now, dude. Better watch out.
No, that's great. That's great. And so I have another question. At the beginning, I asked you what was the most important thing in surfing. Now I would like to ask you, what is the most important thing in shaping, in your opinion?
Oh, well, obviously it's pretty. They parallel very closely because then instead of do you want to do it for competition? Because you can make some good money. You're going to work your butt off. I worked my butt off. And 29 or 30, I had a condo. And it was with a partner, but still, that was back in the days of escrow where you waited 2 months to, they're checking everything 40 years ago. And so, but I was able to do it. So, but you work really hard, or then there's the Bruce Joneses. The ones that are just. I mean, it's just a different way of looking at it.
Okay.
You got. I mean, I was one of them, and I've kind of, as I've gotten older, gone into I got to get some more money from retirement, so I might, because I haven't shaped any computer shapes. I haven't changed my Max boards. It's always I haven't done any computers yet, because I was younger. But now I listen to Gary Linden. He's such a cool dude. He's a friend of mine. Well, I consider him a friend. But he just. I'm 67. He's 72. He's saying, and he just succinctly said it. He goes, because he's done as many boards as I have, and we're talking. I mean, back to the numbers. I'm going to say conservatively 35,000 by 40.
Wow.
And then he was talking about his hip. It's just like I was sitting there listening to him last night. I was talking to him. Oh, you too, huh?
It's a thing in common, right?
Yeah. It's like getting old, dude. You sit around and complain about, oh, well, my knees going. Oh, yeah, my elbow's going too. Just getting old sucks.
Yeah, I know. It's part of the deal. We all do that, It's nobody can buy eternal youth, right? So,
and then you catch yourself talking like that to your best friend, and you just go, "Oh, look at us! We've arrived."
So,
But that's pretty much kind of the trajectory angles. Is kind of what I'm kind of thinking, because I've seen. Because there's Stussy. Look at Stussy. He did some production, but Stussy. And then there's guys out there that didn't go that route and were able to find a niche. And I'm kind of like that myself, because I hear Gary in my ear. I'm just too old. Plus, like the retirement. You can't do $50 shapes anymore. Hey, bro, I'll pop one. And now that's another thing too. When you get older, you start giving birth to every board. Because you always do that, but it gets more progressive as you get older. You're just like, no, it's not done yet. No, it's just, I've noticed that. And
you wanted to be perfect, right? You wanted to.
It's just going to have the look. You know what I mean? Or you're just not happy with you. Just like you're making a video. And it'll be great. Everybody else will love it. And I didn't like that. And do you do the artwork?
No, actually, one Argentinian artist did it. And for the artwork that are in the podcast, is one Italian artist that is doing all the artwork. So he will do one also for you. We're looking forward to that.
Make sure you get the big nose. It's all right. You can't miss it. But you guys got some good ways. You guys got some good ways in Italy.
In Italy, yes. There are there is also a nice surf movie called Bella Vita from Jason Baffa. From
Really? Is it out?
yeah,
Is
it
the
was
movie out?
maybe 8 years ago. So you can find it's very nice.
Oh,
It's about the Italian surfer and surfing. So I have another question for you.
that's what.
In your life, you met a lot of surfers, shapers. Was there
Uh-huh.
a meeting with one of them that was particularly meaningful for you?
Gosh, that's a good question. There's a lot of them. All in different stages of your life, you know. I mean, I could mention. Okay, in the beginning stages of my life, of the shaping life, Steve Bainey. He, I was a kook with a planer on the rail like this, doing the rail like this, don't have much control. He came up behind me and went boom, like this.
Okay.
Oh, okay. And, that was early stages of shaping, professionally, and because we used hand tools back on the side of the garage. So that was an early stage. Malcolm. I mean, I keep going Malcolm, but I mean, it's just like that's like two peas in a pod because we have the same theories, And gosh, Jim Turner. That's have you ever heard of him, Jim Turner?
No.
He's a misto shaper.
Okay.
There's an article on him in Surfer's Journal.
Okay.
And here's a good tip. He taught me, okay, you outline the bottom of the board. And so instead of cutting it out straight, Turner taught me to cut it out on the line, but then tilt it out a little bit so it's wider at the deck. And then when you shape that part back down to a square, you have room to move. And then it's a lot quicker because when it's square, you make a mistake on the outline and you're screwed. So you leave that little bottom part, as is, and then take it down from the side, and then all of a sudden, then you just got it. Not that much of it is the pure outline, so you can do the rest of it. That to me, that was really, I've used it for a long time.
Useful suggestion. Yeah, definitely. And today, like you still shaping boards. We said hand shaped, and
Yes.
but is like occupying the full day, or you're doing you are super busy. How does it work with you? It's you're taking some time for yourself to surf more. How does it work? I'm curious.
You know what? I'm kind of glad when I did it because my son, he's my heir apparent, and he's been in the he's not playing with, he's been working with resin since he was 10. Like they have the solar resin, that it goes off in the sun. Well, he's out there doing solar resin in the sun. And yeah, you can't do that. But yeah, if you move fast, I'm like, oh yeah. So he's my muse. If I get stuck on one design that I keep trying the same board, trying to repinch it, make it right, and readjust it. This one I just was 6 months of just pure agony. Finally, I'm just trying to make it work, and he just yelled out, "Give it up!" And I just, yeah, give me that. Nothing else he did. Give it up. I knew exactly what he's talking about. So, and he actually, he's my stepson. He's from Sicily, so he went over there a couple times and got to go on the island, and he said he saw some small little waves, and
Possibly.
he said,
Possibly.
so yeah, it's been a really. I wish I could say I'm gonna forget somebody. You know what I mean? Like you just go, shoot, I forgot so and so.
It's okay. It's okay. I don't want to put you in trouble. So
I just worried that I forgot, it's more of me, my 57-year-old brain.
It's okay. And so we're going to finish our interview with a short question and answer session. I ask the question to everybody in the show. Please answer the first thing that comes up to your mind. So,
Yes.
surfboard that you ever ridden.
That's a good one. I go to Hawaii, blah, 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 surfing sunset. And one day I borrowed a BK, Barry Kanayapuni, black, the yellow, black lightning bolt, 8.6, the big boxy flat deck rails.
Amazing.
I paddle out on that thing sunset. I ride my board out here anymore. Single foiled out, buck too thin of rails, too much, not enough rock, you just name it. With that thing, not the only time I ever felt confident, paddling into a peak at sunset.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, it just boom and then stood up, and that was the best board I've ever.
Yeah.
And guess who had the same thing after that?
Ah.
I just totally seasoned that with a BK. All my guns always they haven't really changed that much, because that's the kind of once you get into that level, they're just only things that work really well.
Yeah.
Now they're doing some far out things. So yeah, the yellow 8.6 BK with a black lightning bolt, and that didn't hurt paddling around sunset in 1969 or 72 or whatever it was.
Actually. What is your favorite surfer of all time?
We all do these subliminal things, like when you admire somebody surfing, and since you're young or something, you emulate it, and all of a sudden it kind of becomes part of just what you do. You put your hands here and there. I went to the hot generation of 1967. It was right at the beginning of the shortboard. John Witzig with Wayne Lynch, and I saw on the cover of the poster was Wayne Lynch doing a cutback with his arms up like that. And, I would and it was first time you could see the fin, and you can find it, the hot generation. And then there's another one, but it's that picture of him is John Witzig film. And you could see it was like the Michael Peterson famous cutback, where he's doing that cutback, his hair is flying. You can just barely see his fins just starting to come out. That was just like
insane.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah,
personal.
Did I answer the question good enough? Or?
Yeah, you did. Personal question: your favorite music or favorite song?
Okay, I surfed at State Park, and it was the Hollows Wave in town, and it was the gnarliest one. Anyway, when it was big and good, I do my rock and roll thing. Hendrix is my favorite, but you're gonna laugh. Like, it's big, right? So when things are bigger, they're moving. Like, the lip, you're just turning, and it's coming down. It's coming, because it's distance, right? So I listen to slower music.
Okay.
And so it's big. It's got a good stereo. I got Linda Ronstadt. Linda Ronstadt is the singer, the girl singer.
I don't know. I mean, maybe I heard.
Well, if you ever just want to look into Linda Ronstadt, and she's a female vocalist, and it's like, it's slow. It's like, and I'm coming down, I'm looking at the waves, I'm grooving to the music, and all my friends are just going, wow, you're weird, dude. So Linda Ronstadt. So also, she does like what Gary was saying about I get to a point, because she's a famous singer, and she caught a disease, and so just her vocal cords got affected. Wasn't able to sing it. And so she got to the point where she says, "Yeah, I said, why don't you sing anymore?" And she goes, "It feels like I'm yelling." When you listen to how she normally sings, it's just phenomenal. But anyway, she goes, "Yeah, it feels like I'm yelling." Just like Gary said, I can't go to where I used to go.
Okay.
Like, to me, that's, I can't do that cutback anymore, but I can kind of just go, dang, that sucks. I'll just, I shouldn't be so cynical, but honestly.
Favorite surf spot? What is your favorite surf spot?
If I could keep Puerto Escondido in a bottle.
Okay, let's do that.
Pipeline. That was, it's a tough game out there. You really just got to be dog eat dog. And I've done that in Huntington, for years. That was a rough one. You get punched out or I mean, fights everywhere all the time. But yeah, I mean, I like the wave, but my favorite wave, I guess, would be Rock Pile down the street from Pipeline. Do you know where that is? It's here's Pipe.
Okay.
So the one with it's where the highway is got. Well, it's not open pie now, but it's got it's just called Rock Pile, but it's a super steep takeoff, and yeah, it's just I just like it.
Who's your favorite shaper of all time? Somebody that you respect, somebody that you look up to.
So I gotta, I mean, your mentors are your kind of your spiritual guides, So I'm going to do a half and half. One half's going to be Steve Bainey, and the other half's going to be Bruce Jones.
Okay.
They're different, but they were just, like you said, they knew it from the inside out.
Okay.
Like, you look at a square, they saw it all there complete. And and Bruce Jones was just, you sitting there, especially Hawaii or somewhere there's guns walking down to the beach, you'll see one that is a really good outline. And that's what he just, anyway, yeah. Because of Bruce Jones and Steve Bainey.
And the last question is a little bit unusual. I ask everybody, even Malcolm, I would like to know your best relationship advice.
Best relationship advice?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes. Any relationship, friendship,
Male or female?
whatever.
The best thing is humble yourself, because we're all screwed up. I mean, no matter how good a shaper you are, there's still something wrong. And don't think yourself so groovy that you can't even laugh a bit and, just be human. It's no persona, because some people like that, but that's just hiding behind a mask. Hey, this is me. Look at my wart on my nose, and that's just kind of have that kind of attitude. And people relate because we all got warts on our nose, and they go, yeah. So you do all right, man. I'm giving you an A+ on interviewing because you're doing it all right. There's something I'll send you I mean, you're probably a lot more savvy than I am. It was the 1988 San Clemente T Street contest, and I was the interviewer for it.
Oh.
And so, interview of me and Billy Stewart, and we were kids, and you did all right, man.
Cool. So I thank you so much, Mr. McDonald, for being on the show with me today. And I look forward to talk to you and maybe hear more stories. I'm sure you have a lot.
I went through a couple chapters, but I got a few more. My favorite one is the Campbell McDonald. To me, that's just...
Yeah, that's it. I like the story of the Campbell and the McDonald, that after years of feud, they are back together, united between you and Malcolm. So best friend.
I mean best friends. Like you said, don't talk to them for a year. And you just finish the sentence from where you left off last year. Just like no space between.
Thanks,
man. Thank you very much, Jimmy.
I wish you a great day. Thank you.
All right. So what did you say? Arrivederci?
Arrivederci.
Arrivederci. All right, man. Take care. You need anything else, let me know.
Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
Hi, it's me again. I hope you enjoyed our today's episode. If you want to know more about us, please follow www.thetempleofsurf.com and all our social media. Mahalo!